All right, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. And after what was a pretty dull game, but we got the points. Manchester United are beating West Ham by 1-0. In a game that we all expected to be a tricky one. We all know the form that West Ham United were coming into it with. In the pre-match build-up, I said that we had to be worried about the midfield, Souček and Declan Rice. We had to be worried about the attacking threat that they posed. They didn't really start with many of their attackers. They sort of went with a more defensive approach against us this time. And I also mentioned the set-piece danger, and I thought we dealt with that fairly well too. So in the end, we dealt with what they were good at, and I thought we created enough chances to turn around and say, well, we deserve to win if you look at how we played. So definitely United got what they deserved tonight. I thought we could have gotten a few more. If you go off the performances of the players individually, I thought we did enough. So if you look at Mason Greenwood, for example, I'm going to be praising him a lot tonight because I thought coming in as that number 9, yes, he needed a goal today to show that he is still a fantastic talent, because some people seem to doubt it almost at the minute. I saw a tweet earlier today that someone, not earlier today, earlier this week, where someone said that Ollie was ruining him. Ridiculous stuff. But today, he was fantastic. As a number 9, he did everything that we want Anthony Martial to be doing. I'm just going to put that out there. No, I'm not saying Anthony Martial's terrible. I'm just saying that when you look at Mason Greenwood's game today, there was a lot of things that we criticised Anthony Martial for that he did today. So, for example, that we criticised Martial for not doing, rather. For example, there was a little interchange in the first half between him and Bruno. There was a little set that he gave. That was a proper number 9 piece of play. Picked up the little pocket of space, held his defender at arm's length, got the ball off Bruno, set him for a shot, and unfortunately there was a block. But that level of intelligence is what I'm trying to say is what we don't have in any of our number 9s at the minute. And I think that comes from playing with Edinson Cavani personally. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to like the video as well. Give it a share, whoever's watching at the minute. And subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you do that. I've got some guests to come on at the minute. We've had some last-minute dropouts, but hopefully there will still be guests. I've got Ben backstage in the background saving me. But I'll bring on my first guest. It is the wonderful John Silk. If he's been added, there he is. John, what did you make of the performance? Because it wasn't perfect, and we knew West Ham would be tricky. So how did you see it?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I thought we did okay, and more than okay. I think we were the better team. I think we deserved to win. I just think that the Premier League is kind of petering out, perhaps. I mean, I think we should be okay to finish top 4, really, whatever we do, because even when we drop points, there's normally one or two others that are dropping points. I think tonight's result also probably keeps West Ham now a fairly safe distance, if you like. And I think you can't discount them as contenders, albeit they're probably outsiders in the overall chase. But Spurs losing today. Anyway, so back to the game tonight. I thought we played well. If we were, if we hadn't lost those silly points against Sheffield United and West Brom, and I know it's if, and I could continue with the Everton game, 5 or 7 more points, and suddenly, we'd be enthralled by today's game, and we'd be enthralled by the result, and we'd be enthralled by the performance. And I think you were right to highlight Greenwood. I think he was excellent, and I know you're kind of, you're marked down by the goals that you score or don't as they turn out to be. But I think there was one that was really a save from Fabianski, did really well. It was more a save. I mean, if he's being put through on goal and he's missing it, if you like, then you get frustrated. But he's inches away from an excellent goal there in the second half when he struck the upright. So I think he was a highlight tonight. I think we were the better team against, one of the top sort of 6 teams in the country right now. No complaints. Defensively, I think we were excellent. There were certain players that we had to keep quiet. Again, listen, I know there's a Bailly bandwagon, and it's been going for about 3 or 4 months now, and I completely understand it. From time to time, I've jumped on that bandwagon myself. But Lindelof and Maguire are as secure as Bailly and Maguire, in my opinion. And Lindelof also just gives you a little bit more in terms of possession. And so for me, it's a kind of a no-brainer. I mean, ever since that Liverpool game in January, when this is after Bailly had been playing so well, but Lindelof came straight back in. There's no doubt in Solskjaer's eyes who is the main two defenders when everyone's fit and firing. We see Bailly come in for cup games, and if it's like a game of head ball tennis, like we had against Palace, for example, or if we have some long ball merchants, then occasionally he might fancy Bailly. But ultimately, in the biggest games against the teams that do like to play on the floor, Man City's, West Ham's, etc., you will see Lindelof and Maguire start, and I think it's right. Regarding today anyway, good performance. We scored, which wasn't looking that, I was getting a bit concerned as it ended the second half, and we've seen how certain games have gone for us recently. So, 1-0. I mean, I say if we were chasing the championship, you'd be delighted with that, and you'd be delighted with everything. It's just that we can see just how things have flattened out a bit in the last few weeks.
And I think a good point that Fred Woodward makes here is it's against a top four rival, and that's what we've got to look at it as. It's a game against a top four rival who we want to take points off to keep our position secure, and I think that's the most important thing from today. I just want to address a comment here from Skeptic. Martial is doing this plus more, just not scoring. You especially got Martial for not scoring. I'm not sure he is doing this plus more, because the common, I don't hate Martial. Let's get this straight. I love Martial because I said in the derby, when he moves and he actually looks to contribute, he's actually a fantastic player, and he plays that number 9 so well. I called him our player of the year last season, and that was against people that were saying Bruno should be. So definitely, I think Martial can do better than he is. But Mason is, at the minute, the movement he gave us, it showed us his footballing IQ. Now, what I mean by footballing IQ isn't that he can pick out a fantastic pass or he knows what to do in certain situations. It's knowing what to do in those positions. It's knowing which positions to take up and when, but it's also knowing what to do when you get there, and it's also knowing what next. Because when Martial gets in there, yes, he's got the intelligence to pick up that position, but what does he do after that? He tends to make that decision on the fly. Mason Greenwood today seemed to know where that ball was going, and he looks so elegant while doing it. It looks so simple to him, and he could have easily scored a hat-trick. And you mentioned that Mason's not scoring. No, I know that, and definitely that is a criticism we can make, that he's not scoring these goals. And I also think it's to do with him not taking enough shots. But today,
Anyway, I think Karthik's had some issues there.
That was a weird one, right? If it happens again, Mark will jump in, so I'd like to apologise for that straight away. Joe's here as well, bloody hell.
Hey!
Sorry.
And I can see you're wearing, Joe, I can see you wearing an Ireland shirt. What year is that?
This is 1990. Sorry, Karthik. I was watching it and I saw you frozen. And
that's all right.
Again.
That's why I've got Mark here to be my emergency. He's in the backstage, and my Wi-Fi has been dodgy all day. Just ignore it. It's all good. But yeah, okay. Cheers for that, Joe. You can go away now
if you want. Then
you can go away now.
Okay, bye guys. 1990 World Cup, by the way, John. See you later.
Get out. Right. Anyway. Sorry about that, everyone. If it happens again, Mark will take over the show and it'll be fine. But hopefully, I won't need that. Where was it? Oh yeah, Martial. I've said enough about him. It's fine.
Yeah, can I just sort of? We don't want to make the whole show about Martial and Greenwood, but I think that the things that you said, in your intro, are extremely valid. And I can't remember who made the comment there, but it was like a sort of, Greenwood didn't score either, Martial didn't score either. But as you made the right comments before them, as you introduced the thing. It's what Greenwood was doing around the box and the effort and the interplay, as you said, with Bruno, that we know Martial is capable of that, but he hasn't been doing it this season. If we were having a frustrating time with Martial up top, but you could see that it was just a matter of time. And, if Martial had performed like Greenwood did today, we would go, well, that was an encouraging display from Martial if he played that way. It's because we're not seeing that. And we can see that there's a lack of confidence. And listen, United fans, I'm going to go back quite a way here, but when you go back to the early 80s and you have a player like Gary Birtles who scores 1 goal in the whole season, and you feel for these players and you want them to score, and you can see that things are going, and just a bit of luck and a bit of this, and Mark Hughes was the same, would go through barren spells. Andy Cole, when he first joined the club, these are all sort of number nines, if you like, and they were all desperate to score. What we don't see from Martial is sometimes the shoulders go down, and you think get back and help out in other scenarios. And if you're not going to be scoring, at least do something else somewhere else, and eventually the goals will come. But we're not seeing those other parts to the game that Greenwood so ably performed this evening.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to make it all about Martial, but I did think Mason was one of our better players. But another one that I have to talk about, I think Harry Maguire had a very good game. I'd like to see what you think on that, because we're very quick to criticise Maguire, and I feel like I say this every time he's had a decent game, but people don't seem to want to praise him. Did you think he had a good game today?
Yeah, I did. I think... Listen, I know the defence is coming for criticism at times, particularly at the beginning of the season. But I think since the 6-1 defeat, that horrible defeat at the beginning of the season to Spurs, I'd like to see how many goals we're sort of conceding per game. I think we've generally done okay. My only real bugbear with the team defensively right now is set pieces and especially corners. I can think of Southampton away when we won 3-2 thanks to Cavani, but we conceded a goal from a set piece there, a soft goal. We conceded again from a set piece against Everton. We conceded from a set piece as well against Milan. And there was another one recently I've missed out. Well, Sheffield United as well at home. And I've missed one or two others. That's been if we could just fix that, if you like. And I know it's only it's a big thing, but if we fix that, then I think, from open play defensively, we look great. And Maguire, Lindelof or Bailly, whichever two from those three is playing, I think is possibly as strong as, with the exception of Man City, is probably the second strongest back two, if you like, in the country. And the fullbacks that are performing well, and especially Luke Shaw. So it's difficult to know where. I think each area of the pitch, I think if you get and we've had many of these debates in recent weeks where we need to strengthen in the summer. The thing is, there's no there's no glaring hole. But there are 3, 4, 5 things where I think centre half will be good, number 6 will be good, right winger, number 9. I just don't know which of those 4 is the most pressing issue. Possibly the number 6 is now where I'm feeling as though we need to improve the most. But yeah, so Maguire did great today. He gets in amongst it. He spends, there's always at least one moment in the match, and you're concerned about whether he's going to be able to finish the match because he's done his jaw in or his shoulder in or stuff. But we've seen that many years over the years with certain United defenders, or with Vidic or Pallister or Bruce as well, that are not afraid to put their head where it hurts them. That's what we want. We want him and Lindelof, the silk and the steel combo. And yeah, so Maguire was excellent again. And I have no complaints about really the central defensive pairing, whoever plays, except for when it comes to defending set pieces, as cost us on Thursday against Milan.
Yeah, definitely. And before you go, I'll just ask you one more quick question, because obviously we've got Milan on Thursday. We didn't see Oli make any subs today. What kind of team do you expect him to put out against Milan?
I think the team he put out against Milan last Thursday was the right one for that, particular moment. It's kind of 7, 8, sort of what you'd probably say first team regulars, with maybe Tellez coming in and Bailly coming in, for example. I think, given the way the first leg ended, I think we should really probably go for it 100%. If, as in, play everyone. I think the only probably question would be Tellez or Shaw at left back. Shaw is the number 1 left back, but Tellez is a very, very capable deputy. I think, given that we've got injuries elsewhere anyway, and probably going to have a few absentees, I think go with a very, very, possibly the same 11 that started today. I don't think Pogba will be back. I have no idea. What's the situation with Cavani? Is he anywhere near fit?
Still, I believe he's still injured. I don't know if he's back for Thursday.
So I'd probably go with the same 11. I know we've had certain issues throughout the season, or especially in the second half, with certain players looking as though they're running on empty. But I would now treat this as possibly our last match in Europe, which then, rightly or wrongly, means full steam ahead for the FA Cup and to a large extent the league, of course. But I think the league now, that gap to Man City is so far in a way that if we were 5 or 6 points behind, I'd want all the reserves against Milan. And I have even said that for previous rounds. When we were 4-0 up against Sociedad, I wanted all the reserves to play in the second leg. And, I didn't. I think 4-0 away, you're fairly comfortable. So I was a bit critical of the 11 that he chose for that match. But for Milan, given that I think it may well be, given the way the first leg went in terms of the performance, but also the result, just put everything in that game. If we get through and we get a kind draw in the next round, then it could be again a case of juggling our resources. But given that we've got 2 cup matches now, I would put everybody who's available, everybody who's fit, because if you don't, in exactly 7 days from now, we could be out of both cup competitions. Given the teams that we're coming up against, Milan and then obviously Leicester, these are teams that really we're going to have to be putting our best 11 out against. And I would like a trophy. I think a trophy. I personally would prefer the FA Cup, just because it's sort of 5 years since we won it. We've only won it, I think, once in probably about 15 years or so, something like that. So I think our FA Cup pedigree, if you like, or FA Cup results haven't been as good as they should have been. The Europa League, nice competition. Don't get me wrong. You want to be in the Champions League, but nice competition to win. Don't get me wrong. If we get to the final in Gdansk, I'll be desperate as anyone to win that. But I just think we're still a little bit far away from that final at the moment. And we won it in 2017, and it is the poorer European competition, and we want to get back in the Champions League. But anyway, all full steam ahead. Milan play, I think, probably the same 11 that started tonight. I would actually probably go with Shaw over Telles, just because he is our best left back. If we end up picking up a couple of injuries but go through, well, so be it. This is you're not in football tournaments and stuff to start putting out, second string 11s and then go out. And if, like I say, if we're 6 points off the top of the Premier League and we're still chasing that, fine. But now, given that really we're having to concentrate, I desperately wouldn't want to win a cup competition this season. I think we'll finish top 4. We've got enough to finish top 4 now. And I do think we're too far off City to give that even a semi chase or even any. So let's put all our eggs in these 2 cup matches we've got to come. And I think if we do play our best 11 and we play to our capabilities, then we'll be through to the semi-finals of the Cup, and it'll be the quarterfinals, I think, of the Europa League. So you're in that situation and you're lying second in the league. Well, this then gets very exciting. But if we don't play our best 11s, I think Leicester and Milan obviously are so good or good enough to knock us out. And in a week's from now, we could be out of both cup competitions. And I don't want to be here in a week with nothing else to play.
That is a very scary way of putting it. John, once again, thank you so much for jumping on. Everyone go follow John on Twitter. It's @jsilk. And, of course, check out his book as well. Thank you for coming on, John.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Right, that was John. Fantastic stuff. There's loads of you in the comments, so make sure you're all liking the video. If any of you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, head over to youtube.com/allforunited. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And let's go through some of these comments before I bring on my next guest, because quite frankly, there's been a lot of chaos going on backstage. I don't know if you all know. There's a lot of chaos going on with guests. Where's that comment about Martial? Here we go. Martial is a first-team player. Greenwood is a first-team player. Should be judged as such. If you're good enough, you're older. No one. What? I don't know what the comment's been going on there. There was a comment about him. Hang on, where is it? Let me find it. There we go. Right, Martial's doing it. That's my problem with some fans, is because of his facial expression not smiling. I've not mentioned his facial expression once, so I don't know where that's come from. Ashley, spot on there. You can't do it in the social media age. Go 2 games without scoring, and the internet wants to end your career. That's just how it works at the minute. Maguire and Shaw were fantastic today. Yeah, they were fantastic. Shaw was given man of the match, I believe, on Sky Sports. I wasn't sure about that, to be honest. I thought Mason did well enough to get it. Hammer says right wing and 6 was our most important areas that we need to sign, as John rightly pointed out. Watch France, says Skeptic. I think I'm all right. I don't want to watch France, but I watch United. I judge Martial's performances on his Manchester United performances. That's fine. David says, where are the rest of the lads? They're all backstage waiting. It's a new format if you've not been around for the last few shows. We're going one by one. Next up, I'm going to bring on Mark, who is my saviour when there's no Wi-Fi, but at the minute we're hanging on strong.
Wasn't quite. It was all back to the walls a minute ago, wasn't it? I couldn't log in. And Christ almighty.
It was chaos. It was chaos. I've got people dropping out. I've got people complaining that they've not been on yet. It's all a load of chaos. What did you make of the game? Because it wasn't a perfect performance, was it?
No, it wasn't a perfect performance, but we did enough to win the game. I think probably could have scored a couple more at least. Mason had a great game. I'm pleased you brought him up. Henderson was very commanding. I think that there probably would have been a couple of moments there that David De Gea might not have dealt with as well. So that was good. I'm pleased he's got a clean sheet. Appreciate he made a mistake midweek, but as I've said before, I feel that he bounces back from things and picks himself up very well. But yeah, good game on the whole, really. I just hope we can kick on now. I think John sort of rightly pointed out that this is probably our most pivotal moment of the season, really. I mean, we've got 2 games now for 2 trophies coming up, and we could be in both, in one or out of both, and it's going to be chaos if that's the case. But I feel like Ollie will probably turn it around, and we'll get through Milan, and hopefully we can just beat Leicester. But yeah, overall good game, and I just wish we would have finished a few more chances, really, just to build that confidence a bit.
I did want to ask you about this because I know you've always, I mean, it's a running joke now where you come on and you say United have to start fast, but it was another slow start. And I feel like we've developed this bad habit of when we come up against these teams that sit off us and say, you know what, you come on to us, we tend to just drop our tempo on everything. And it might become a running joke that I keep saying it, but we move the ball so slowly, off the ball we're so slow. What do you put that down to? Is that just a mentality thing?
I don't think it's a mentality thing. I think it's probably perhaps the players that we're using. I mean, against Milan, Matic, I said this the other night that I feel like he's probably a bit past it now, and he can't push the ball forward enough. And I think you kind of have that with McTominay and Fred, and we've spoken about before that, you know, it's a waste of a position, really. You should be able to have one man that can do both their jobs. And then play McTominay further forward. So I don't quite know why we start so poorly. But it did take us another half to get into the game again, didn't it? And then second half was much, much better. Fortunately, we probably weren't, you know, against a better team, perhaps. I know West Ham were in good form, because we could have suffered from that. But as I said, we got the job done. Sometimes you're going to grind out the results, and as many people have said in the past, you know, the best teams kind of do grind out those results. Everyone, bar Chelsea, picked up points this weekend, so we needed to win, and ultimately we got the 3 points. So,
and in terms of the way that we used our squad today, because we've got, you know, the midweek game, and I think people were a little bit quick to jump the gun with the fact we hadn't made subs, because what was there really to bring on? There wasn't a lot. What do you think the team will be on Thursday? Because we've not got a lot of players to choose from, really, have we?
No, so looking at the injury table, I think one man is ruled out, Phil Jones is ruled out, but everyone else that's out, Pogba, David De Gea, I don't think he'll start. Cavani, Donny and Anthony are all 50% chance of playing. So we could have a couple of new faces ready for the game next week. But I think, like John sort of said earlier, I agree with him. I think it will probably be a very similar team to last week, probably without Matic. You might see McTominay in there early or something like that in order to sort of be a little bit more pressing and a little bit quicker. But they were without half their team as well. So, I mean, that doesn't really bode well, does it? And it's a little bit a bit scary next week. But I believe in Ollie, and I feel we will turn it around for us. But I think it will be very similar, but without Matic. And hopefully we'll have one or two other faces back, and it could be a complete revamp. So we'll see.
And on the defence, because we sort of touched on it earlier with Lindelof and Bailly, it seems as though they're playing one game a week each or playing alternate games, however we can manage it. What do you think it'll be Bailly coming back in then, or do you reckon big games you've got to go Lindelof?
Yeah, I mean, I think their players are pretty pacey, so I would understand if Ollie played Bailly, but I also would understand if he played Harry and Lindelof. I thought they were brilliant, both of them tonight. We know about their pace, and unfortunately, when it comes to a one-on-one trying to keep up with the forward man, it's not always going to work. But I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen. Who knows? I'd be happy with either one, but I think maybe Bailly might make an appearance again. But I thought those two actually, in particular, were absolutely colossal tonight. Good to see.
Fair enough. Everyone, go follow Mark. Obviously, you know who he is by this point. If you don't, he's the guy with the shit trim. I'm joking. Don't worry. I can't say that when he's potentially going to be backing me up if my internet goes.
Yeah, exactly. I won't be backing you up next time. I'll get you back.
I can't be saying that. All right. Cheers for coming on, Mark.
All right,
And of
buddy.
course, if anything goes wrong, people will see you again.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. See you later.
Okay, I've got, I think, 3 more guests, if I'm not wrong. We have sorted out the problems. There are a few issues. It's all good. You know how it works in North United. We do things very, very professionally over here. We try. Let's see the rest of your comments then. And there's a discussion going on here about I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the discussion is. I swear Mark is in a different room every show. Yeah, he is. No, he usually switches between the two, I think, if I'm not wrong. Luke Shaw, absolutely baller. That is all. Yeah, true. It's another fantastic performance from him. And I think it's something that a lot of people just say, but they don't actually understand how good his improvement has been. You're all quick to say that, I hated Luke Shaw, this, that, and the other. But I actually gave specific reasons as to why I didn't want Luke Shaw to be starting week in, week out for United. He's corrected each and every one of those and is now the country's best left back. So, am I right? Yes, I was right. If anything, you should be putting his success down to me. I'm joking. I'm not going to say that. I'll bring on my next guest. He's been waiting patiently. He's just come off another show as well. This is brilliant. It is Mr. Bits and Bobs. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah. So what? It's your boy Bits and Bobs. How you doing, mate? I'm actually on 3 shows, so I'm just on TFT. Obviously, I'm a host of my United channel, the United show there. I've got my own little show on right now. So yeah, man. Listen, I'm very happy to be on, man. So thank you so much for having me on, Karthik, man.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. What did you make of the performance? Because as I said, it wasn't amazing, but we did create a few chances, didn't we? Do you think that kind of performance is okay for now, or do you reckon at some point it's going to catch up to us where we're not finishing these chances?
Listen, I think it's obvious that Man United had to win today no matter what because Leicester won, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Leicester won, so Man United need to win. But unfortunately, that's where we're at the moment. We had the clean sheet, we got an own goal, we won. I think that's the positives. Going forward, I think we realise that the 2 central midfielders, McFred, it's not working. Harry Maguire had a great game today, so I can't really shout the defence. Right back-wise, I think we need to assess Wan-Bissaka in the summer because technically, going forward on the ball, it's a worry. We know he's the best defensive right back. However, we're Manchester United. Now, I'm asking people, are we Man United of old or are we just Man United the brand? Because Man United of old, Gary Neville is probably not as good defensively as him, but at least Gary Neville could attack, beat a man, put a cross in, and get a couple of assists. The odd goal here and there. I'd say I'm satisfied because we won, okay? We got the 3 points that we majorly needed, and especially on the back of the news that Ollie's going to get a new contract. He had to win this game. What I will say, I am quite worried though, because we did create some chances today, but we didn't have any strikers, natural strikers. So I'm hoping on today's analysis, we get an elite striker. I'm talking about someone that will definitely score goals, get chances, because we can create. That's obviously when we just watched that. I don't want this is the Glazers, so I'll put my seatbelt on and enjoy the ride because I want Haaland, but I can see them going to buy Ings because he's free. You know what I mean? So for me, listen, at the end of the day, we won. Okay, we're not here to try and be negative. We won, and the boys done a job, which is quite sad because we're Manchester United and we're like, yeah, they done a job. This is not what we should be doing. But, when you look at it, Daniel James had a nice little cameo, no end product. McFred lost the ball. Scotty lost the ball. We do have the pattern of play, and it seems to be the same one. We play out of the box from by kicks. Harry Maguire comes forward, does the cross pass to Rashford or Luke Shaw, and we come inside. It's boring. It's very boring, and I just hope we change it. If we can even get someone competent in the middle of the park. Now, I'm not expecting the Glazers to spend money because we all know they won't. Let's go into the Premier League and get a competent midfielder that can hold his own. Okay, we've heard the names of Ndidi, Basuma, Declan Rice. Do you know what? You've got a technical advisor, whatever Darren Fletcher is, and the Murto guy. Just go and say to people, right, this isn't the Premier League. This is who plays in this position. Go out and get the best one out of them. Okay? And do for me, I tell you what, Lingard plus 40, 50 million for Declan Rice doesn't seem to be a bad shout right now. And if we're going to get Declan Rice, I'd rather we got him before he went to the Euros because we all know there's English tax, then there's the Man United tax. So Which is true. And go back, buy a striker, a competent elite striker. You know, the obvious one, everyone wants Haaland, but we're Man United, and you know, we were supposed to get Sancho.
It just doesn't work that easy, does it? I want to touch on your Wan-Bissaka point, because I said in the first half, where I think he gave the ball away 4 or 5 times in the first half, and I said, you know, we were poor at retaining the ball in general, but I thought Wan-Bissaka gave the ball away a lot. When you say we need to assess him in the summer, is that for someone to take his place, or is it for someone to challenge him? Because we've played against Diogo Dalot on Thursday night and he looked good. Is that not just the easy one where you can say, right, Diogo, you've done well over there. We know you're good at attacking. If you improve your defensive game, you can challenge Wan-Bissaka here and there's a bit of rotation? Or do you think it's a case of replace him completely? Because that's a bit of a big statement.
What I'm going to say to you is this, that we let Dalot go out on loan. Now, for me, that tells me that Ollie doesn't rate him. He thought Wan-Bissaka was going to be better. We all know Dalot is an attacking fullback, or attacking wing-back even. He likes to go forward. We all know he loves a step over. I think Dalot was just unlucky because we didn't have a right midfielder. And I think Wan-Bissaka is unlucky. We don't have the right balance. The right-hand side is very vacant. You see most of our domination comes down the left-hand side with Rashford. I think what needs to be assessed with Wan-Bissaka is that if we are going to play him, we need to have a competent right winger. Now, I'm not just saying someone that's speed merchant and so on. No, I'm someone that can actually play that position and help him out in defensive duties, because you will form relationships on the pitch. And if Wan-Bissaka can gain a relationship with a right winger that plays all the time with him, it builds confidence and it builds, a maturity as well, when to go, when not to go. And I think Wan-Bissaka, we need to remember, Wan-Bissaka's came from a Crystal Palace from not having possession, not expecting to do anything on the ball, to always just tackle and make sure your man doesn't beat you. Where he's went from 0 to 100 is a completely different contrast, where you are our right back. You have to start attacks. You need to demand the ball, get on the ball, get wide, cross, get back up and defend and tackle. And that's what I mean about assessing, because now we need to give him balance. We also need to help him out. You know, Daniel James plays on the right. Listen, we know what he will give us. He's not going to start. We're not going to win the league with him starting 38 games in a row. So for me, let's look. If you're saying Dalot, give him a run. But let's try and provide balance in this team. We're playing 2 players in midfield that we only need 1. We're just vacating the right hand side, which is very poor, especially the team that boasted David Beckham. Cristiano Ronaldo, you can even go as far as saying Valencia as well. So we've had quite competent right wingers. So right now, I think we need to address that, man.
I think that's a big point you make there in terms of relationships, because if we're going to play Wan-Bissaka, I agree in that you said we need a competent right winger, but we also need one that complements Wan-Bissaka, because we need to make a relationship there that's similar to Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford. If we have that on both flanks, we'll become unstoppable. I think that's most important we need to do. Last one I want to ask you about is, you mentioned Ollie's new contract. Now, it's a rumor that he's going to be offered a new 2-year deal. Do you think he's deserved it? And I know that's a very vague question and you can go left, right and centre with it, but just on your gut feeling, do you think he deserves a contract extension?
Do you know what I'll say to you is this? We all know Ollie is not a world-class manager. 100%. We get that, okay? We all know that Ollie came in at a time where anyone would have brought sunshine and light after Mourinho, me and yourself. I think what has happened is that when Fergie left, the domination of Man City, Liverpool has arisen. And under Sir Alex Ferguson, that was never the case. Okay, City won the odd title, but, it was never anything to really worry about, because we then went and won the league with Van Persie. Unfortunately, with Ollie, we have a board that basically don't like to spend money. Now, what I would say to you is this: Ollie's making the best situation out of a bad scenario. And you need to ask yourself, what is Ollie's objectives? To qualify for the Champions League every year. Now, we slated and belittled Arsenal for doing this. Wenger, we all know the quote from Jose, success and failure, top 4, that's not Man United. Roy Keane said it very well. If you're Man United, you should be looking to win the league, regardless. Looking to win the league. If there's a new challenge, you accept the challenge and you always look to compete and win the league. We're not doing that right now. So our standard has been up here so high with the dominance in football that unfortunately we're coming all the way down here. Like I said to you earlier, Leicester won today, so we had to win. So the standard has dropped, and unfortunately, he has deserved this contract because going by what is set in front of him, as an objective-wise, he's actually doing a not bad job. You know, however, as the fan, I'm looking at it thinking, how dare you give him a contract? But, you know, we can all be reactionary and whatever, but we also need to look at the facts and sit down and think, actually, do you know what? They'd rather keep this guy because what is he doing? He's towing the line. He's smiling. He's, you know, saying the right things. He's so far qualifying for Champions League again. Now, I think we all know what's happening with the board. They're happy just to get into top 4. That's it. I dare say Ollie knows that that's not enough. But, you know, we've seen other managers go at this board and they've ended up sacked. But what I will say is this. Do not give this man the contract and don't back him financially.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a manager who's not going to... I don't think he's going to sit there and accept a contract if he knows he's not going to get backed. So do you think it says something about the summer coming up?
Well, all I'm going to say is this. Thunder may strike twice because we gave Mourinho a contract and we didn't back him. And then Ollie went and bought the players that he wanted. So, so I don't know, man. I hope for Ollie's sake, you know, he gets a lot of abuse, Ollie in, Ollie out, and all that crap. But listen, tell me a world-class manager is going to come to Man United right now.
They've seen what's happened.
Pep's not coming. You know, we need to just accept that this is the new era. It's unfortunate for Ollie because, you know, Ollie says he doesn't do the coaching, which my jaw dropped to the ground. I was like, wow, so what is going on? However, to finish on a positive note, I think Man United fans will be able to realise that, you know, this is a progress, unfortunately, and this is a process, and this is what's happening. It's good. We've got these people in, technical directors. Okay, we're going forward. Okay, it's not what we want to see. It's not who we want to see employed, but, you know, we're going forward. It's a big journey, and if he gets his contract, I just hope he gets the players he wants because we know we want Grealish, we want Allen and stuff. So put your money where your mouth is. You know, give him the tools to succeed.
Put your money where your mouth is. That is the message I'm taking away from this, mate. It's absolutely brilliant to have you on. Thank you for coming on, mate. I'll leave you to go do your other shows. Thank you very much. Everyone, go follow him.
Thank you so much, mate. Seriously, I love the show, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if Mark's still here, big up to you, big guy. Yeah, thanks very much for having me, man. Catch me on Bits and Bobs on YouTube or the Football Terrace. Love to you all.
Nice one, mate. See you in a bit. Okay, we've got 2 more guests coming up, and the next one that I'm gonna bring on is someone that's been asking me to come and do a video with me for ages. It feels like he's always on my Twitter going, "Oh, can I go on a video? Can I go on a video?" Well, he's finally here. It's Vin. How you doing, mate? You've been asking me for absolute ages to come and do a video with me. You're finally here. This is your chance. Take your chance right now. Tell me we're gonna win every trophy that there is to win, and you can stay on the show. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. You don't need to say that. What did you make of the game today? Because I thought there were spells where he played quite well, but the front three, obviously, it lacked a bit of spark because obviously, you know what you're going to get with Dan James, you know what you're going to get with a half-injured Rashford and Mason, who's still learning the trade. What did you think of the performance in general?
Yeah, I mean, we started off slow, right? Our passing was a bit static. We weren't accurate. Fred was giving away the balls quite a lot in the midfield. And I personally was surprised to see Rashford starting because I had predicted Ahmad to start. And I know I got a lot of flack for it saying, oh, Ahmad's not ready, he's only 18, this and that. But given the injury crisis and you didn't want to aggravate Rashford's injury, I thought Ahmad would start. But Rashford started and he didn't do too bad. I mean, he had a couple of chances, that header, I mean, he should have taken that header. And it's becoming a bad habit, you know. He's developing a bad habit of missing sitters, be it headers or one-on-ones with the goalkeepers. So that's something he needs to work on.
Speaking of,
But-
sorry, just to interrupt. Speaking of really bad habits, have you also noticed this annoying habit that he's developed where he just tries to knuckleball everything he does? It's like the man doesn't know how to ping a ball anymore. He just tries to knuckleball everything.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of occasions where there was an opportunity for him to pass to either Greenwood or Bruno, but then he just went straight at one of the defenders and he just didn't look at the pass. It's pretty much like how Dan James does it every now and then, where again, James had a chance as well to pass to Bruno. Bruno's literally begging for the ball, and instead he just darts at the defender. So that's something we really need to work on in the final third. But otherwise, at the end, flair doesn't matter. It's 3 points at the end of the game.
And another one, because there was another clean sheet. Sorry, I've just put you full screen for no reason there. Another clean sheet for Dean Henderson. Obviously, Ollie's given De Gea some time away to obviously be with his wife for the birth of his child and all that. Dean Henderson's actually done a decent job when he's come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's only conceded 1 goal in the time that he's been in goal. Does De Gea come straight back in this team? Do you think it was just a gesture of goodwill from Ollie, or do you reckon it was a case of, well, you're gone now, Dean Henderson's played, he's been better than you, so he's starting? What do you think it's going to be?
I don't think Ole is going to push David De Gea just like that. I think he comes straight back in. I think for the Leicester game in the FA Cup, I think he's going to come back in from then on. Look, Dean's been great, but I don't see Ole being so ruthless regarding these two goalkeepers, because I think was it yesterday before the game, he said that he's lucky to have 2 world-class goalkeepers, and he's not. And from the looks of it, he's not going to push off David De Gea just like that. Personally, I would like to see Dean Henderson as a number 1 come next season. I just feel that he's more authoritative. He commands his box. He gets off his line in set pieces, and he's a bit more reassuring. And you can see that in Maguire's performances. I think today Maguire was colossal. Him along with Shaw, I think they were really good today. And I think a part of that has to be attributed to Dean Henderson's presence at the back.
Yeah, and again, there's one chance for I think it was for Mason, where the throw originally came from Dean Henderson, and then Fred played the ball through. Is that? I mean, we've had discussions on the channel before where we've said maybe De Gea is the better goalkeeper, but maybe Dean Henderson is more suited for this team. Is that sort of the opinion that you're having at the minute?
Okay, so the thing with David De Gea is there are certain traits which he's really good at, which Dean hasn't developed. Like, I still feel as a shot stopper, David De Gea is still better than Henderson. But when it comes to commanding your box, getting off your line and set pieces, jumping for the ball in the air, I think that's where, and even distribution of the ball in general throughout the course of the game. I mean that's where I feel Henderson is better than David De Gea. He's showing that and there's a lot more potential for him to grow. So, I mean, I can understand why all is torn between the 2 goalkeepers as to who to go for number 1, because there are pros and cons with each of them. But I would personally see Dean being given the number 1 shirt.
Very interesting, very interesting. Finally, we've got Milan on Thursday, obviously. A tough ask away at the San Siro, with that away goal as well. And of course, because we haven't made any subs today, so everyone's played a full 90, and it's pretty much all the players that we've got available anyway. What are you expecting from Thursday? Are you expecting any rotation, or do you reckon it'll just be a case of play the best team, let's go and turn this tie around?
Well, the tie is in balance, and we've done pretty well away from home, generally, barring that game against Leipzig and Istanbul in the Champions League. Ole has stated that at least as many as 5 players could come back. You have the likes of Martial, Donny, Cavani could come back as well. So I expect at least 3 of them to start. I don't expect David De Gea come back in. I think Henderson will be in goal again. And I hope Rashford somehow is 100% fit. I don't think he was 100% fit today, because there were moments in the game where he sort of was clutching his ankles, holding onto his legs, I feel. So I just hope he gets enough rest and he's fully fit to go. So yeah, I think we can expect a strong team and Eric Bailly along with Harry Maguire.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. You've been absolutely brilliant. Everyone, give the video a like just for Vin. And of course, make sure to go and follow him. You've been absolutely brilliant, mate. Cheers for coming on.
Thanks a lot, man.
Nice one. Right, we've got one more guest. I'm going to bring him on with another one because the guy with the shit trim clearly wants to go and show his trim to the whole world. So I'm bringing two on. I'm bringing on my stalker and I'm bringing on the old bastard. It's Callum and Mark.
You are a bastard.
I know
You
I
are
am.
a dickhead.
I know I am. It's fine. I own it. Lads, I bring on Mark as well because I've just been reading the private chat and these two have been going on about the Ollie discussion because obviously the big news that came out this week before this game was the rumoured new contract. And obviously we listened to hear what Bob said and there was an interesting few things that he said. I wanted to get your two thoughts on it. We'll go to Callum first. What did you make of what he said and what did you make of the news that Ollie might be getting this contract? No, I've just gone to Mark instead. I'll go to Callum now.
Mark first if you want.
Took me by surprise, that did.
I must admit, Bob's really rattled me with a couple of things he said. I found myself. It was a good job I was muted because I found myself screaming at my laptop a little bit, to be honest. I don't understand how he doesn't deserve a new contract. And when you say world-class manager, I can guarantee many people on Twitter are mentioning Pochettino, who, by the way, has just lost to 18th place in the French league tonight. So, shall we go get him? Because anyway, of course he deserves a new contract. He's brought such stability to the club. We've finally got a director of football and technical director in place, something that we've been screaming for so many years. And this idea that he's not a world-class manager, well, yeah, a lot of managers weren't world-class at one point and they developed and the coaching helped and all that sort of stuff. But he said he heard that Ollie doesn't coach or rarely coaches. Well, I know another manager that very rarely coached and delegated his trust in his other coaches to do that for him, and it was Alex Ferguson. If he does it, Ollie might do the same because he's learned from him. So I think him being all very shocked because Ollie rarely coaches. He's the manager. He's got so many different things that he needs to do. His coaches are there for a reason. Trust them. If he doesn't trust them, he wouldn't use them. So I thought that was I didn't understand why that shocked him so much because I can imagine that most managers do that. So of course he deserves a contract. Of course he deserves the extension. Another thing, just to sort of shut the Ollie out up, he does only have 12 months left on his contract. You very rarely let managers get into the final year of the contract, just for logistical reasons, really. There's no point in him, letting his contract wear down. We want that stability and we want him to be on a longer contract for those very reasons. So if you want to take all the footballing side of it and look at it from a business perspective, then don't let it. It's the same with the player. You don't want to let a player go into the final 12 months because they'll get let go on a free or a Bosman in the January transfer window. So it's just good business, and signing Ollie up to a new contract can be good for the football club for many reasons. He's shown great progression for the club, both on the field and off the field. So there's absolutely no reason to be angry about it, and I'm very happy that he's getting one, to be honest.
Fair enough. I think I do agree with you, Mark. I'll go to you in a minute, but first I need to address this fella and this fella. First of all, what are you doing on Twitter? Go over to youtube.com/AllFUnited, subscribe, like the video, and then do one because you're being stupid. Of course he deserves it because he's been the best manager so far since Sir Alex Ferguson. Because yes, he might not have won trophies yet, but bloody hell, we're the closest to getting there by playing some half-decent football, aren't we? I actually feel like watching our team now. People tend to, it's the gift of hindsight where we look back on Mourinho and Van Gaal and people try to glorify Van Gaal's football. And I'm like, I fell half asleep throughout half of his games. It's not, surely people need to be more, accepting of the fact that Ollie's actually doing a decent job, Mark.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's always going to be times when managers make mistakes. And as Callum rightly said, you've got to start somewhere. In order to build up your experience, you need to be given experience. And yes, he is in one of the biggest job in the world. And I think people get too carried away with, obviously 8 years ago, we were right up here. And it was very difficult to see us coming down to here. And I think people are holding on to that too much. And I do agree with a lot of what Bob said, actually. And I agree with you, Callum, about the coaches. But a lot of the other things he said, I was in agreement with. He deserves it. he does deserve it. Look, we all get pissed off about, certain things that he's done, tactics, subs, and all this. But everyone does that. It's because we've become familiar with those things and we want to jump on that bandwagon every week. Now, we've just appointed Darren Fletcher and we've just appointed the director of football. What's his surname? I can never get it right. Murto. So he's been at the club for 8 years and has done wonderful things in the background, okay, with the academy, with the revamp, with Nicky Butt coming in. His first job was not going to be to sack Ollie. No way. And as you rightly said, very rarely do managers go into their last year of the contract. He was always going to get another contract. And it may be playing into the Glazers' hands, but this is the first time in 8 years where we may, hopefully, qualify for back-to-back Champions Leagues. And it might be that on the second year, they might back him. I appreciate we're in a pandemic, and there may be more trades and things that come across it. That geezer. He needs to go. I appreciate that obviously money is going to be an issue and all this. And it really is this year because of the current climate we're in. But there might be trades and stuff. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. How many times do we have to say this? Okay, we might need 4 players. We are not Chelsea, Man City that can spend that money because they have it. I know that we've got that money, but that's just not how our owners work. So we have to do that over a period of time. We've done that in the last 2 years. We've had some great signings. We've got in the right personnel. We've got rid of the right personnel, and it is a process, unfortunately. And whilst I've been angry and critical to Ollie, I have never been Ollie out, and I get so frustrated with people that are so reactionary and just want to go in and say, "Now Ollie out." Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely no evidence behind that to be able to say that, in my opinion.
I mean, we're discussing the whole concept of Ollie out. We've just won a game of football, so I want to get it back to the game itself. Callum, I've spoken to you a couple of times now about our strikers and our striking options, and obviously it links into the concept of, the topic of the transfer window. We might be in for a number 9, who knows, because Cavani might go. We don't know what's going to happen. What did you make of Greenwood in the 9? Am I the only one who thought we were fantastic?
Greenwood was brilliant tonight. I'd be interested to see what you two think on this, though, because I found myself quite a few times, and especially Dan James. Dan James was putting the ball into the box, and I thought some of the crosses he was doing looked quite dangerous. Now, and I sort of go back to the out-and-out number 9s like the Lewandowskis or Haalands or whoever. Greenwood's still yet to develop that game, I'm sure. But I seem to be getting so frustrated at points during that game that there was just no number 9 darting into the box to get the head on the end of it. Now, I imagine that is something that's looking to be developed into Greenwood's game, especially at the senior level. I know he was very good at it in the younger teams, but it's really frustrating because United could have won that. Genuinely could have won that 4-5, 6-0 tonight. Greenwood should have scored and assisted. To be fair, that was really poor from Rashford, which probably adds to the argument that we do need another number 9. But the only thing missing tonight from Greenwood's game was a goal, and I think with that sort of jealous aspect to his game being added, where he just go, "I want a goal," and runs directly into that 6-yard box to get his head on the end of it. It will be added, and it will come, but I just found myself getting a little bit frustrated. I mean, we at the end of the day, we did win tonight by an own goal. We should have won by 3-4 goals tonight, and it is a worry. And I hope Greenwood does add that. I think maybe Cavani's probably doing that with him being there. With Cavani tonight, I think it would have been 3-4-0. The way West Ham set up was really disappointing from them. I expect with the way they've played this season, I thought that was such a typical old school David Moyes performance. I thought I was really disappointed, and United did do well to get the goal, albeit an own goal. But I think Greenwood probably did an 8 out of 10 performance. A goal would have put it up to a 10. It was a brilliant save from Fabianski, but sometimes just that out and out natural prowess of a striker was missing a little bit tonight, I think.
Yeah, I genuinely think that like last season, we were all raving about Mason Greenwood and saying how he's outperforming his XG. I think he got about 6 more goals than he should have done.
Well, that was never sustainable, was it? I thought, if
exactly,
that's always going to come to its point where it does start to level off a bit, and I think we're sort of seeing that at the moment.
Yeah, so I said it in a more joking way that the XG gods have just cursed him for defying them last season. That's pretty much what's happening. It's XG catching up to him.
You've got to remember, though, he just burst onto the scene. He'd equalled the record of Rooney and George Best, which was an incredible feat. And now, I've said this before, but when you are young and inexperienced, it's going to be incredibly difficult to hit the ground running and be able to keep that up. And when you do that, naturally, because you haven't had that experience, it's going to detriment just you in a way, because you're not able to succeed and get what you had last year. Do you see what I mean? So that was never going to happen again, and people need to sort of lay off him. I think he's probably been one of our best players in the last few weeks. You're absolutely right, Callum. He didn't score tonight, but he could have done, and he will get them. And as soon as he starts banging those in, he'll be getting goals every game.
To be honest, though, Matt, I think the main reason why he didn't score tonight was probably just from that brilliant save from Fabianski. I don't particularly think it's criticism. I just think it's just something we want to see a bit more of. He does do it.
Absolutely.
He doesn't do it enough at the moment. I like to say he is inexperienced. He's not going to sustainably hit the ground running, but we will see that added, and we'll start seeing it more and more. I just think, like I say, we want to. I don't think it's criticising. I think it's wanting to see something that we know we can do so well more.
Yeah, of course. No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, on the last point then, before we look to wrap up the show, Callum, I'll ask you because I've already asked Mark this question, but again, I'll mention it again. We didn't make any subs, so everyone's played a full 90. We've got tired legs. We've got maybe 1 or 2 players. I don't expect everyone will come straight back into the team, even if they are fully fit. So let's say 1 or 2 more coming back in. My first idea is that because Dan James played 90 today, Ahmad may start on Thursday. What are you expecting, or do you want Ahmad to start?
I mean, I wanted to see Ahmad today. I think you're right. He probably will start, like Mark said before. But I think it's glaringly obvious now that our squad probably isn't as good as was made out earlier on in the season. I think our squad with everyone fully fit is okay. But, and I hate doing this, but comparing and contrasting to City, and like Gary Neville said after the game, they've got Torres, Foden, Sterling, Aguero. They've got all these players who, if one's injured, another one instantly steps in. And they're there to pick up that creativity if someone else is lacking. United just don't have that. They've only got Bruno and Pogba. Bruno looks absolutely knackered, and credit to him, he wants to play every game, and that's brilliant to see. Same as Rashford. But when they're knackered, I think it's quite obvious to see. And like I say, it's glaringly obvious with the issues in the squad. Who could we have brought on other than Ahmad and Shaw Ateri? Who could we have brought on today to even affect the game that much, even to sort of gave the players a rest? So I don't blame Ollie for not using them. I just think it's tough to see because it is getting to the business end of the season, and I hope having these holes in our squad, which should have been addressed last summer, I hope having these holes in our squad doesn't come back to bite us come the end of the season.
I think that we will see that in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for coming on, mate. I know you came on very last minute, so cheers for that. Everyone go follow Callum. I'm sure he'll be writing up some good stuff coming up this week, so make sure to go and check that out. Cheers, mate. See you in a bit.
No worries. See you later, mate.
Right, so that was all our guests. Thank you to everyone who came on, because it was a lot of people that came on last minute, so we really do appreciate that. Thank you for being of great help. I'll wrap it up then with my final thoughts. I thought United were good enough today. We weren't amazing, we were good enough. And quite frankly, that is enough against your top 4 rivals. That's what they are. West Ham are top 4 rivals, and we needed 3 points. Simple as that. We needed to get second place back and react to a couple of poor performances, and especially a very poor result on Thursday night against Milan. So a win was important. We got that. I thought Mason Greenwood was the highlight of the game. I thought he was my man of the match. If he had scored, probably would have been no discussion on it. He showed what he can do in that position, and I thought if not if not for not scoring, it was a perfect performance, 10 out of 10. So definitely it was exciting to see that. I think the fact that we made no subs was slightly worrying, but of course we didn't have many options to bring on. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Thursday, because obviously we might have a couple more players coming back in, but I don't think the starting 11 will change too much. And what kind of impact will that have on our next fixture? I don't know. It remains to be seen. I personally think it could see Ahmad come in. The fact that Dan James has played 90 minutes today, I'd like to think that he comes in. Probably more effective if he comes off the bench, but we'll see. Maybe 45 again. That might be a good shout. But yeah, it was good enough. That's how I'd call it. I think that's the best way to sum it up. And as for all the Ole talk, he does deserve a contract, and you've just got to accept it, because yes, our objectives might have been Champions League, and let's not forget, as Mark pointed out, this is the first time we'd have qualified for the Champions League 2 years in a row. That is our objective now, because we've not done it for 2 years in a row. You talk about consistency, you talk about sustainability. You're not going to be consistent and sustainable if you're not qualifying for the Champions League year in, year out. So that is the starting point. We would have done that by the end of the season if we manage it. And if we've gained a place or two from that, then fantastic. It is progress. And then it means we need to go and back our manager. And we've not seen our board react to being qualified for a Champions League 2 years in a row. And we've not seen them react to a manager carrying them up positions in that time period. So the optimist in me thinks, yes, they'll go and back him. Yes, Ollie will get back, because otherwise he wouldn't have signed the contract. But there is the realistic aspect of how likely is that to happen? How likely will we get back, as well as the financial climate? We don't know. We've all seen the statements. We know what's going to happen. I don't know. But hopefully we can do something, and hopefully Ollie can show everyone why he deserves that contract, because I think he's on the road to doing that. He promised a cultural reset. He promised a restructure. We're on the road to doing that. So in my eyes, that deserves a new contract. But hey, I'll leave that to you guys to discuss. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to comment what you thought on the game. Make sure to subscribe. youtube.com/AllForUnited if you're on any other platform. Head over to that and subscribe. I will join you on Thursday night for the post-match reaction for the Milan game. And hopefully we will keep on track our Europa League Champions of the World campaign. I shall see you then.